Okay, good morning everybody. My name is VG Donato. I'm from Dinapigi Isabela and I'm from the section of 3A BPO. Today we will going to report about project reporting. So, what is project reporting? Project reporting is the act of producing formal and informal reports to communicate the status of the project. And reporting is usually done at the regular interval throughout the project. Stakeholders, sponsor, and project teams agree on the frequency of the reporting. Let's move on to the slide 2. At the end of this season, the student should be able to describe the parts of a project, explain days to completion as a method or to assess percentage completed, describe the contents of the project risk section. So, describe the parts of project report. Describe the parts of project report. The most important part of the project report are the introduction, the conclusion, and the future work, and the abstract. In this report, these are the things that we need to work on with the project report when we are doing reports for our project. So, explain the days to completion as a method to assess percentage completed. The percentage completed is an accounting method which the revenues of expenses of the long-term contract are recognized as a percentage of the work completed during the period. And describe the contents of project risk section. Project risk is an uncertain event that may or may not occur during the project. Contrary to our idea of the risk means project risk could have either a negative or positive effect on progress towards project objectives. Okay guys, let's move on to the slide 3, parts of report. Status report, where the project now stands. Schedule, budget status, percentage completed against plan, current open issues and challenges. Yung schedule and budget, ito yung sinasabi ng isang report. Schedule ng report nyo or maayos ba yung schedule na pinapasukan ng mga kliyente nyo or mga trabador nyo. Yung budget status naman is yung kung ano yung kalagayan ng budget ng isang kumpanya o kaya sa business nyo, ano yung kalagayan ng status ng pagbabudgeting nyo. And yung percentage completed against plan, kung ano naman yung percentage ng pagtatrabaho ng mga employee mo sa business nyo, kung ano yung mga nagagawa nilang trabaho, kung ano yung percent na nagagawa nila sa kumpanya nyo. Yung current open issues and challenge, yung current open issues naman is yung karaniwan na nagiging issue ng isang kumpanya or yung business nyo, kung ano yung karaniwang issue. Tapos yung challenge naman is dito kayo matcha-challenge sa business nyo, kung ano yung dapat nyo pang i-improve or dapat nyo pang gawin ng maayos para ma-challenge kayo. And yung progress report, what the project team has accomplished, task completed, task in flight, issues and challenge handled. Yung task completed naman is yung natapos kunyari ng mga trabador mo, kung ano yung matapos na trabaho. And yung task in flight, yun din lang yun, yung mga nagagawa ng trabador mo, yung mga kliyente, yung task na nagawa nila sa business nyo. Issues and challenges handled. Ito din lang yung nandun sa may number 1, yung current open issues. Parang ganun din lang. Tapos yung challenge handled is yung kunyari meron kayong issues sa inyong business. Ito ay kayang-kaya nyo lang i-handle para ito ay masolusyonan agad, para ito ay hindi na lalong kumalat sa mga ibang tao na nagtatangkilik sa inyong business. And number 3, forecast prediction of future status. ito is naman guys yung known the strength and weakness of your team, document the scope of the project before you start, set goals within realistic timelines, make sure your team member understand the schedule and deadlines. Yun yung guys yung number 3. Risk section, specific risk and mitigation. Ito naman guys yung specific risk and mitigation. Risking mitigation involve taking actions to reduce an organization exposure to potential risk and reduce the likelihood that those risks will happen again. Guys, and let's move on to slide 4, class activity. Create a project report for a hypothetical school concert 1 week before the event. Create a project report for a software development project which is a construction phase. Ito naman guys is sa whole class naman na to. Siguro naman is i-ano na lang natin, gawan na lang natin. Kunyari, sagutan na lang din natin para meron tayong alam sa
Next, challenges on estimated percentage completed. So, how to get reasonably accurate estimate of percentage completed. Challenges. Most people overestimate the work they have done. 50% completed is difficult to verify. So, the majority of people exaggerate their accomplishments. It's impossible to verify 50% accomplished. Next, most will add buffers when asked for time to completion, conservative, lowest estimate of percentage completed. Next, hours spent versus total man hours may not be an accurate basis for actual work done. So, the ratio of hours spent to total man hours may not be a good indicator of actual labor done. So, next, conservative measures. So, goal of measures. Good basis for assessing remaining work. We have the possible approaches. First, the task binary measure. If work is completed, task is marked 100%. If a task is not yet completed, it is marked 0%. Add the hours for unfinished tasks. Calculate against total project hours. So, when a task is finished, it is given 100% rating. If a task has not been done yet, it will be marked as 0%. Calculate the hours of undone jobs against the total project hours. Next, easy judgment whether task is done or not versus subjective percentage done. So, easily to determine whether a task is completed or not, as option to subjective percentage completed. So, other possible approaches is time to completion. First, project manager is asked to estimate man hours needed to completion. So, the project manager is requested to estimate the number of man hours required to complete the project. Next, essentially a rent forecast of effort required given all factors: resource, skill, availability of inputs, effectiveness of tools, and quality of work. So, essentially, a rent forecast of effort is necessary based on all factors, which is resource expertise, input availability, tool effectiveness, and the job quality. So, next, the conservative, because most Prime Minister will add a buffer. Next, the stringent and good measure if the project manager is highly experienced and professional. So, if a project manager is very experienced and professional, this is an excellent measure of or to take.
Risk in project reporting. Risk in project reporting. So, what is risk in project reporting? So, risks are events that could have adverse effect. It may have the possibility of something bad happening. So, what would happen if the risk occur in a project reporting? There are many risks that could happen For example, the project will not be on time and this make the project not to be completed. Identified risk can be mitigated. So, how can risk be mitigated? By first abundance or avoiding, by minimizing and control. Using cross-training, organization will be better and it develops employees. So, what is the source of risk? There are two. We can identify the internal and external source of risk. Internal source of risk. Example, the resources and equipments. Unexpected attrition happens when reduction in staff numbers that occurs as employees' retirement and resign are not replaced. Unexpected equipment failure happens when failure to continuous monitoring equipment that leads to risk. External source of risk. Example, suppliers and market. Supplier failure like reputation risk is due to service or supply interruption, safety or quality failure. Market risk is the risk of losses on financial investment caused by adverse price movement.
List specific internal and external risk to the project. Stakeholders, sponsor business leaders assess if the significant risks have been considered by the project team. A stakeholders has a vested interest in a company and can either affect or be affected by a business operations and performance. Typical stakeholders are investors, employees, customers, suppliers, communities, governments, or trade associations. For each risk, state the mitigation action. Stakeholders assess if the mitigations are correct or sufficient. Stakeholders assess if the amount spent for mitigations is commensurate to the cost of the risk. Summary. Part of a project report. Status report, progress report, forecast, risk section. Status report. Where the project now stands. Schedule, budget, status. Percentage completed against plan. Current open issues and challenges. A status report is a collection of information about the current status of a project. Project status are used to communicate the current progress on a project to the project team and stakeholders. Number 2, progress report. What the project team has accomplished. Tasks completed, tasks in flight, issues and challenges handled. A progress report is a report in which you are updating information about a project. Progress reports make it possible for management and clients to stay informed about a project and to change or adjust assignments, schedules, and budgets. Forecast. Prediction of future status, projected time and budget to completion. Forecasting refers to the process of using current and historic cost data to predict future costs. The forecast report is a management tool that represents financial information, or revenue and expense based on the actual and budgeted projected amounts within the current fiscal year. Risk section, specific risk and mitigation. Create a project report for a hypothetical school concert 1 week before the event. Create a project report for a software development project which is at construction phase. Risk section is a method of identifying risks tied to or potentially impacting an organization's business processes. The identified risks are usually compiled into a formal risk report, which is then delivered to an organization's senior management or to various management terms throughout the organization. Next, days to completion. Goal is a conservative measure for effort required to complete the project. Task binary measure. Count hours for unfinished tasks, man hours to complete. Refresh estimate of time to complete. Project risk section. Specific internal and external risk to the project and mitigation for each risk. Risk mitigation is the process of planning for disasters and having a way to lessen negative impacts. Although the principle of risk mitigation is to prepare a business for all potential risks, a proper risk mitigation plan will weigh the impact of each risk and prioritize planning around that impact. Example, cross-training mitigates effect of loss of critical resources. Internal resources, equipment, and facilities. Unexpected attrition, unexpected equipment failure, and loss of facilities. And external, suppliers, client stakeholders, market, political events, and acts of God. Supplier failure to deliver right inputs or resources on time at right price and with right quality. Unexpected change in client senior management, unexpected loss of support, change in executive direction for the project. And last, storms, typhoons, fire leading to project disruption. References: a guide to the project management body of knowledge referred to as PMBOK or Project Management Institute in 2000